What up, though? Welcome back. So I'm glad you guys have stayed with me up until this point. I appreciate you. I'm thankful for you. I'm hoping that my conversations with you are helping you in some way, shape, or form. Structure your days, your weeks, your months, your year. We're wrapping up here shortly this fourth quarter as the airing of this today in the States is Thanksgiving, as I'm shooting this, and so I'm having my grapes as you see. Um, with you guys, I've never really did turkey so much, but definitely, like I told you before, you got to stay with this. You got to stay with the water and nutrition and that, right? Even on the holiday day. But I want to talk to you guys today. I had a great conversation with a friend of mine, or a new acquaintance of mine, recently. We were having a discussion about how important is it to have a quality routine in one's life. They're here in Bali from Russia, and so they've been here about 2 or 3 years. And he started his own coffee cafe and shop here in Bali. But we were having this conversation at the gym, and basically we were just kind of both elaborating on our day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year routines, and how we have to tweak our routines at times, of course, obviously, in order to fit the the current paradigm or wherever we are in our life, whether it's building businesses, in different countries, or whether it be, or family responsibilities, because he actually has a wife and son here that he moved from Russia here. So he has the beauty and responsibility of not only building a business, but also too taking care of a family, right? Because his son, I think, is less than 10 years old. So we were talking about the routine, because so many people think that it's, when they hear, he has a place in Russia and now he has a place here, and, in a coffee shop here, and he had a business that he let go of back in Russia. But when he says it, he always gets the shock from people of how it must be nice, right? And he and I both, uh, merged on that thought and that topic, because I always say the same thing. People always say it must be nice when I tell them, I run a company in the States, but I'm, traveling, trying to grow it and build it abroad in different countries and see where I can establish it, and also to looking for property in different countries. And they say it must be nice. But what they don't realize is the discipline and the struggle at times, but the focus of sustaining a routine in order to keep the seemingly must be nice circumstances at hand flourishing and growing in order for it to continue, right? There has to be something in place, like a routine, when things get chaotic, because they do, when things get helter skelter, because they do, when things are going well, because they do. You still need to have something that you can go back to that gives you the ability to say, even if it's helter skelter, chaotic, great, or seemingly not so great, there's something that I can latch onto to give me stoicism and give me that stability and foundation, to where if I feel like I need to catapult off of it, or I need to stand still on it for a moment while things are whirlwinding around me, chaotic around me, this routine or this structure is that stability to my life. And so he was sharing with me what he does, and I was sharing with him my inner tech, the 5 principles that I have instituted, like I've told you guys, for years now, almost a decade plus. This has been my routine, and this has been my go-to for the rock, the pillar, the foundational piece necessary when things are so wishy-washy or all over the place. So what am I saying? For me, because I travel, because I'm still running a business in a totally different time zone. Right now, the time zone is anywhere from 13 to 14 hours difference back home. Because of this, the routine for me has to be the five principles. Even if the timing of it can't be delivered on a consistent basis, because like I said, it's a 14-hour max time difference when I have to do things back in California or Arizona. Daylight savings time is not there. I have to be awake when it's nighttime here. I have to be alert at 2 o'clock in the morning in order to answer emails, negotiate contracts, talk to employees around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Here, when it's, business time, 9, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, East Coast time, I have to be alert, right? So I may not be able to have the time routine because there's different routines. I may not be able to have the time routine, but I can still have the routine of getting my rest, even if I have to get into bed at 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. I still can get the 7 to 8 hours rest I need. It'll push me back further in the day, but that means I have to cut out maybe, doing something with my lady or going to lunch date to meet someone. I have to push it back now to say 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, my my wake up time, so I can get this 7 to 8 hours sleep I need, right? Or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it is, and then get up and start the gratitude, start the deep stillness, then the physical activity, obviously nutrition, and then the personal workflow rather, right? These these are my routines that I stick to. The timing may not be consistent, which is okay. And this is what he and I were talking about, that we have to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing for me is the value, the structure of the 5 steps being delivered to myself consistently and doing those thoroughly, not so much stressing myself out about, oh man, I can't get into bed till 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's all shot to hell now because I want to get up and do XYZ around daytime here around, 9, 10 o'clock. I have to keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is the routine of the 5 principles. When those are done, delivered, consistently, effectively, and efficiently, then everything else will fall in place and fall in line like it needs to. Why? Well, because not only am I being disciplined to get the deep rest, 7, 8 hours, whenever I'm able to get the sleep, because I know my body still needs that recovery time necessary in order for my brain to be sharp, in order for my mind to be sharp, in order for my energy and emotions to be level and not to be heightened in any way, shape, or form, right? That deep rest is important. So if I'm focusing on doing that and getting that, then I don't knee jerk reaction to something like my emotions of saying, okay, I'm frustrated because I can't sleep like I normally would if I were back in the States on a regular cyclical time clock that I'm used to, right? Stateside. No point in beating myself and bringing that to my subconscious and then into my reality, right? And then making my emotions heighten, right? So I'm getting my deep rest. And so then when I focus on that, number one, right, then I wake up at a decent time, again, decent for the fact that I'm able to now get my rest, not decent for, okay, the day here might be almost done. Because I have to keep in mind too, what am I doing here? When I have business meetings here, if I'm talking to someone about a property or looking to do a leasehold or a freehold on a property, right? And I have to schedule a time where I know I'll be more alert, and it might be later on in the afternoon for them. But because I'm the consumer, I'm the one trying to buy, I'm not afraid to do so because again, I know I'd rather talk to you at 5 in the evening, after early evening, your time here in Indonesia, as opposed to trying to schedule it at 9 a.m., knowing that I probably won't get to bed until 5 a.m. So that gives me only 4 hours of sleep, right? So the routine of the 5 principles, getting my deep rest, keeps me structured, not so much worrying about the ancillary factors that I can't control, knowing that these are part of the process where I have to stay up late on certain nights, not every night, but on certain nights to do the work back in the States, right? So when I get the deep rest, then I get up and I give the gratitude, which we have already talked about being so important, so vital to giving myself and setting my attention on a higher level of emotional vibration, right? I'm able to give myself the start of the afternoon, early evening, whenever I wake up, the proper energy. So therefore, if I'm going into a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, talk with someone about freehold or a leasehold property, and the 30-year leasehold situation that you have, and ownership and all this different things, and then try to negotiate proper market rate for a villa and what it would cost, and if it doesn't have the pool, all the things I would need to know. I'm grateful for this, and I'm setting my energy so I can go into it not with the weight of frustration or already mid-level potential negativity, which is what I don't want to bring to something that I'm trying to embark upon, right? So this is why, the routine of the deep sleep, the number two gratitude, then being able to, give myself, whether it's 5 minutes or whether it's, 60 minutes or 90 minutes of deep stillness, my modality being meditation, your modality being whatever it is, by sticking to that, right now I'm connecting to the higher power within me that will help me again navigate these waters of late nights, of property potential purchasing, leasing, renting, whatever it may be. Also to expansion of the business, keeping my emotions, in the proper projection of what I need to do for the next 24 months to, 72 months, but also what I need to do within the next 72 hours or the next 48 hours or the next 24 hours in order to keep the trajectory of what the 72 months are going to bring, right? Um, Having that chance to have that routine and sticking to that routine and keeping the main thing of knowing I have to still sustain that, right? Puts me in the state necessary to not rely on myself, but again, to rely on the higher power within me and then connect to that, right? Again, prioritizing the routine, the part of the routine that's most important, which is actually the substantive pieces, which is the 5 steps, not again focusing on if I can't do it in the morning, which I prefer to do it in the morning. But if the morning is for me now is afternoon, I'm okay with that, right? Then after that, pursuing into step 4, part 1 and 2, which is the physical activity, getting to the gym. If I don't get to the gym until 5 o'clock p.m., or excuse me, 4 o'clock p.m., because I had to sleep the 8 hours. I had to do my gratitude. I had to get my deep stillness. Then I get to the gym at 4. If my meeting's at 5, maybe I cut my deep stillness a little short, but I still got to get it in. And then I go to the gym, say at 3:30, so I can get to the gym real quick. It's down the street. I'll hop on a scooter, go to the gym, do a 45-minute, even if it's a shortened workout. Again, value the the purpose of still going and putting myself in the movement, even if it's not a full blown, 60 to 70 minute, ideal workout for myself. If it's only a 35, 40-minute workout, still giving it what getting from it what I need to get from it, which is the body moving. Maybe I myofascial release, maybe I stretch, maybe I just do cardio, whatever, but I do something, right? Sustaining that effort, again, sustaining the routine, a quality routine, allows me again to have the body and the energy and the vitality necessary. This is the only fountain of youth: exercise and nutrition. This is the only elixir to keeping the vitality right now, even with all the biohacking. If you Google or ask ChatGPT or Siri what is biohacking, and you look up what the term is, it's breaking into deeper into physical activity, nutrition, and medicinal purposes that will enhance the longevity of one's life and hopefully sustain it in a quality manner, right? So if the fundamental pieces of it are physical activity, nutrition, well, if I'm doing that already, then I'm biohacking already, and that's the elixir to life, and that is the fountain of youth, right? This is why the 5 principles, I love them so much as my routine, and I'm coming to you guys so consistently, and maybe with a message of seemingly bereavement, to berate you a little bit with it, to browbeat you with a little bit. But the reason being is because it works devoid of external circumstances that we all face. in your own way, but we all face external negative circumstances or even seemingly positive circumstances that then put us into a box. Or if we do not conform to that seemingly good circumstance, then we start to put pressure on ourselves and we step away from these principles that again are devoid of judgment, devoid of a certain class or a certain religious status or a certain religious class. It's devoid of all these things because these are principles that are just tried, tested, and true and can be used, as I'm expressing to you, at any stage, at any juncture, no matter where you are, and should be used in order to sustain the excellence if you are, at that moment in your life, or, if you're at that position, or if you have the juxtaposition of you're in a negative place in your life. These five principles are what are necessary, again, like I told you before, to catapult yourself and, or stand on by doing consistently to help elevate you out of the seemingly, down period that you may be going through right now. This is why I'm speaking on them ad nauseum and trying to deliver to you the conversation around these five principles and the energy around it, because they are tried and true. We need something right now that is devoid of any type of feeling where if you feel like you're not aligned properly with that external thing, it tends to pull on us in a negative way. And that's what makes us depressive. That's what makes us lethargic. That's what makes us procrastinate. That's what makes us feel judged, or we judge ourselves and feeling inept or not worthy or imposter syndrome, all these things you can think of, because we're not fitting into a certain structure or paradigm that actually is supposed to be meant to help us stay encouraged, stay enthusiastic, stay focused on the fact that this is part of our process. But by staying true to it, we will be able to work our way through without judgment, too, not only against yourself, but judgment against someone else. Because when you judge someone else for not being a part of that sect, that dogma, that political party, that economic status, that race, that part of the world, when you start to judge that, because in every religious statement it says, he without sin cast first stone. If you're not judging, but we do judge, this is why I like these five principles, because it doesn't judge you. It says, look, just do the shit. Just do get your fucking rest. Get your goddamn rest. Get your rest. Give gratitude, be thankful, not for what you know you're going to manifest, but be thankful right now for what has been manifested, what is right now tangibly in this moment given to you, right? What is here. Be grateful for that. He who's grateful for little can be, granted much, right? Be grateful for what is seemingly not the big thing you want or the thing, but what is the big thing, because it's right here, right now. Again, if you understand these five principles are giving you this understanding and you deliver by giving it to yourself, then we go again, step, what it is, deep stillness, connected to higher power. Again, it doesn't matter what you call it, and it shouldn't matter what you call it. What I like to move us towards is, yes, read the Quran, read the Torah, read the Bible, read, anything that is deep spiritual in Sikhism or Buddhism or whatever, because I don't necessarily know the names of those particular uh, uh, works of writing, but read it all, accept it all as one, not as separate entities, because they're not. They're just given to us in order to be able to say, hey, go back to something that you feel you understand that is bigger than you, right? So you see, I'm not against it. I'm just against the separation that is happening and has happened for the centuries of us celebrating these individual things, right? And yes, people may say, well, Mark, you sound like you are against it, and I'm really not. And you might say, well, when the Crusades happened, or when slavery happened, or when the Holocaust happened, you know, whatever whatever sect was being talked about or being the prominent, God has told me, chosen me to enslave you, or God has told me to, we're the Aryan race and we're the pure race and we're going to get rid of all the Jews, whatever it is that, whatever the negative or the seemingly evilest portions of the outliers of those particular sects were, you're like, well, that's just what that was, but you still should believe in, Jesus Christ if you're a Christian, or you still should believe in Catholicism or whatever it might be. And my thing is, yeah, I'm not talking about the outliers who were just the evil ones who did evil things and still claiming the religion as their centerpiece. I'm saying even down to the smallest person who didn't go that far. I think the purpose of the stories and the purpose of the belief in the higher energy is to say, no matter what you call it, to recognize that it is there is the most important thing. Then move in a fashion that you don't feel like you're the only one doing the work or can make or be the alchemist that creates the gold out of nothing. You need that energy source that's bigger than us, that created the galaxies and us and the plants and the ocean and right? I'm saying we do need that understanding. We need to get away from so much of the different lanes of how you call it. I because my example is like, I believe you should work out no matter what it is. Working out, exercise, I don't care the modality. I don't care if you call it Pilates, yoga, tennis, paddleball, cycling, sprinting, basketball, football, soccer. I don't care what you call the physical activity, the modality. The thing is, you need to be doing any one of these things. Aerial yoga, whatever, dance, hip hop, jazz, ballet. This should be the act. The modality doesn't matter. And I'm not going to say, well, because you only do gym, or because I do weight room, I'm better than you who does Pilates. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say because I do Pilates and you only do dance classes that I'm more in shape than you. I'm not going to say that, because it's not about the separation of it. It's about appreciating and respecting the modalities that get you to the ultimate goal of being in shape. Same thing with these religious situations. And this is why, again, I'm speaking more to principles that we need to extract from all the different lanes, because they all say the same shit at the end of the day. What the hold is, it's the whole, either in any one of them, it's the fear of the after, of what you may or may not, what we've been browbeaten to thinking that it's the after that we need to be focused on. And that's why we're fear based into trying to believe into one of these dogmas. The most, the highest ones being, which you have a heaven and hell, and or being with Allah or not, or Judaism, going to the selected group, going to the selected number that's going to, live in the kingdom or whatever. It's the fear. It's the fear of what we don't know to be the afterlife. This gives us some kind of rest or some kind of solace or peace of thinking we know. So I stay in this lane. I shun everything else that's not this. I respect it, but I shun it if it really starts to pull me away from what I have now told myself I believe now, because after I die, which is funny because it's like you don't even fucking know after you did. The whole thing is when you're dead, you're dead. You don't know. And who cares? I'm dead. Like, I'm literally, my soul is doing whatever the soul does and it's gone before I got here. My biggest thing is what I always say is, before I got here, I didn't know I was coming to Mark and Gloria Jean Comar. I didn't know that. I didn't know I would even be here, right? But yes, I formulated, came out the womb, and then this energy of me developed, right? The soul of me developed. Some of you are real deep spiritual. I guess you say, well, I did know, or you did know you were going to be here. Great. Well, if that's the case, if you didn't know, cool, but you still don't necessarily know what was all going on before, you got here. So it's the same thing to me once we pass on, right? So that's why I say we need to split from these dogmas, because they're actually, and we're actually creating the quagmire we don't want, which is we're not able to take hold of what we are really granted, which is truly take hold of and really understand this, the flesh and blood, this moment, what however long is given to me, to give myself the best chance of success to obtain my understanding of the purpose why I'm here, right? And then deliver on my unique fingerprint, uniqueness of whatever I am here to be special to do, doing that and delivering that to the fullest and not going to the grave, never having fully tapped into or even attempted to tap into what I have been blessed with by the powers that be. And I say powers, and you can get mad at me all you want to if you, well, he needs to say Jesus, or he needs to say Allah, or he needs to say, Mary, whatever. Like, come on, stop. I'm saying it. I'm saying exactly what you're saying. I'm just saying it this way and it's not about me believing in me. It's about believing in the power within me to deliver the thing that needs to be delivered. When that's done, then I can take full responsibility for everything that has or has not happened. Everything that's seemingly bad and seemingly great, I can take responsibility for it. And it's okay to do that. I think we've shied away from trying to take the responsibility and giving it off to these deities. It's not my time, it's his time or her, whatever time. It's like, yeah, no, you're right. It is in the higher power's time. However, take the responsibility of doing the proper, continual, consistent work with the proper quality routine that's going to allow you to take action daily necessary to unveil what that power has blessed you with. The problem is we don't take the proper action with the proper routines, because the routines that we do are the I'm kneeling to pray, I'm doing that. I'm humbling myself. I'm letting God know that I am not worthy, and I'm appreciative because I'm always on my knees, bowing and praying. That's not taking the action. That's just doing what you're doing, which is, bowing and praying and saying I'm less than because you created me, and you're not less than to that. Because the whole thing is, if they're saying we're kings and queens, then do the action of being a king and queen, work the steps, build the kingdom, build the palace. Your palace being your body, the kingdom being working on delivering and learning what your purpose is, and then building that out. If your purpose is to amass fame, or by doing so you're employing another 2,000 people, or you're employing another couple hundred people, and making sure they get paid because they're on your team. Cool, that's building a kingdom. If it's you are an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, and it's just you are building out a product that is a tech product, and the next tech product is going to be one that can collaborate with the big entities out there, and you're now shifting the way in which kids learn, what I'm saying, by off of your IP. That is great. Like, but you're pursuing that and building that kingdom, and you're delivering. That's the kingdom. That's the beauty of recognizing what the power that's in you is asking of you to do. That's the work, not cowering to, show, it used to be back in the medieval times, priest, or, the clergy would, at this time back in, I'm talking about like 1300, 1400, like they would, beat themselves, right? To show they're not worthy. They, sustain from sex, obviously they wouldn't, if they had any enjoyment, they felt like that was wrong, and that was not being all the way conducive to respecting the God, right? Or, God. And we've grown from that, right? So I feel like now, if we grew from that, we need to go to the next level, which is, okay, kneeling and praying and saying, I'm not worthy, or I thank you, or asking for what you want to happen consistently, is no longer where we are with religions. And I know I've turned this into from routines into a religious rant a little bit, but again, step 3 is just so important to understand the proper quality routine is, and what you're trying to extract from the routine. And step 3 is not so much just, saying that I prayed. or I meditated. It's again to go deeper and go and connect with that higher power as one. That's why they say with two or three are gathered in my name, it's because you and the higher power, that's two, gathered in the name of the energy, and however you want to call it, that is the two. Once that happens, then you're elevated to another level. And there's nothing, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And then you walk out of that into step 4 by physically, again, doing the next action of, and when you do all these actions, you're putting yourself in a situation where now to take the action on your purpose becomes smoother, especially because on step 5 is your personal workflow, right? You're now outlining what you just convened with the higher power. You're outlining, and then you're taking action in your workflow to do the purposeful work. You see what I'm saying? You see how this all works? And this is why I love it. It's so not determined by what you call or what you didn't pray, or you didn't go to mosque or temple, or you didn't, put on the hijab, or you didn't, kneel file, or you had pork or didn't have pork, or you drank alcohol or didn't drink alcohol. All these things are all here, and it's all created by the higher power. Now, again, you got to do all these things within moderation, or if not, if it's just not your thing, it's just not your skis. Cool. That's awesome. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to take LSD to get clarity of mind. You don't have to, do mushrooms to hallucinate, to, get clarity of your higher self. You don't have to do that. You can focus in and meditate and be still, and that can elevate you. That can bring out the endorphins that you need and the psychedelic effects that you're looking for that are naturally within the body, right? You don't have to do these things, but if you do these things, you shouldn't have to be in a situation where you're judged for it, because again, plenty of people have done it. Great, cool. But while I'm wasting time judging you because it's not aligned with what Christ said or what Catholicism or what Allah said, it's like, come on, man, what are we doing? I don't have time to do that. Like, I may not want to do that. That's just not what I want to do. I don't down you for doing that thing. Because you doing that thing, you might be, Lil Wayne, who can, on lean or whatever, on alcohol or on blow, or like Snoop Dogg, and be high all the time and perform immaculately in your career and what you do, right? And reach heights of excellence that I couldn't do if I was smoke weed, right? But you can. So it's like, why do we sit here and judge it? We need to just understand if we're instituting these 5 principles that have no judgment, don't care, they're just saying these are things that need to get done. You do these things on a consistent basis, you will have the stoicism, you will have the routine, you will have the quality routine that will keep you in a place of being able to weather any storm, sustain a level of quality excellence. Even we understand nothing maintains. Rome fell. America's currently in this position of falling off as the world leader, right? We understand that. That's just life. We live, we die. So it's nothing. It's never about being able to sustain the height of excellence, seeming excellence. It's about just being able to handle that rare air. It's about being able to handle, the muck and the mud and the seeming, downturn. Handle it and not control it, not manage it, but be able to deal with it and grow through the muck, grow through the understanding of what you've been blessed with at a seemingly high level. What comes with that, right? So yeah, it's this is why these 5 principles are important. This is why having a quality routine with these 5 principles and understanding these are the routine, these are the quality routine. This is why this is so important. It strips away the excess emotional, external worries and concerns. Cause it's like, I'm doing it. I'm already doing it. I'm rested. I feel great. I'm thankful. I'm talking to my higher power. Cause I don't care what you think I should call it. I don't care what others call it, because I don't care really what you call it. I only care when you start projecting. I only care when people start projecting their belief style of this is the only way to do it, as it's the thing, because they all from the root are right. They all are. They all are, from the root of what they mean and what their message is, are correct. So you're not going to tell me that just because I'm Christian, I can't marry a Muslim woman. You can't tell me just because she's Muslim or he's Muslim, he can't marry a Seventh Day Adventist. Just because she's Seventh Day Adventist, you mean tell me they can't marry a Catholic? Or like, what are we doing? Humanity is humanity. These all should be able to merge. A Sikh should be able to be with a Muslim comfortably. Shouldn't be worried about class. What classes. It should be, if this person and this person feel they align, and they align on a deeper level than just a title, because it all becomes just titles at the end of the day. If they align deeper than the title, that's important, because that means they're willing to stick together and fight together to amass some level of clarity of mind and spirit, and then bring another life into this world potentially, and help them understand how not to get caught in this box of claiming something, but be all you're supposed to be. And in doing that, you can't claim one thing, because once you do, it becomes very hard for whatever it is that your uniqueness is to unfold. It's like, they say that, the rose out of a concrete, or in the concrete jungle in New York, right? It's like virtually impossible to find a plant, right? Growing, it used to be back in the day, that the statement, right? Um, because it's hard to fertilize, to water, a seed, and there's so much concrete, so much hard ground to get to. Not to say it can't be done. Should there be struggle? Should there be strife? Yes, I totally agree with that. But again, in understanding that's part of the process, we don't need to exacerbate the struggle, because now we're saying, well, you were a seed that was, got purchased from this particular, farm and neck of the woods. So you're going to be a problem. You're not aligned with this seed over here. And this seed over here is the correct seed because it followed this type of situation. Like, come on now, what we doing? So my only concern is, let's build proper quality routines from principles that are not going to alienate anyone, but accept everyone, especially you, the individual, because as you evolve, you will go through phases. And at each phase, you need to be able to receive and accept and appreciate yourself, in order for you to not be complacent, but in order for you to freely have the ability to evolve well, without all the extra friction that we bring with judgment, self-judgment, group community judgment, based off of what we are not aligning, seemingly aligning with that particular group, because of someone else's projection of what they think you're supposed to be, based off of this overall arching ideology and theme. I'm not going to judge you because you don't do the 5 principles. That's not my job, because I'm in my higher state. I'm just saying there's a better way. We knew, a couple of 100 years ago, a couple thousand years ago, we knew that it was a better way to go with religious, because we didn't know what we didn't know at the time. But now that we have an understanding, I don't think it's necessary to continue trying to bring 2,000, 3,000, 5,000-year-old ideas into this modern realm, because it's outdated. It doesn't suit anymore. We need to take responsibility. We need to recognize our power that has been granted to us, that is within us, and then leverage it against the higher power. Work with, align with the higher power. Let it just be higher power or higher powers, um, devoid of sex, devoid of gender, devoid of class, and devoid of dogma, and just let it be what it is. I think in that will find the ability to have quality day-to-day deliverables for ourselves, because we're doing it based off principles that are just sound. It's like, if I cut myself with a razor, I know I'm going to open a wound that is going to be very hard to close, and I'm most likely going to bleed out. It's a principle. If I go into the sky and I jump out of a plane with no parachute and no support, most likely I'm going to hit the ground, I'm going to die, right? Principles of just, gravity, of, of just things, right? That we know are just flat out principles, truths. They never waver, no matter, you could be fat, you could be rich. If you jump out of a plane, you know what I'm saying? You could be black, you could be Asian, you can be, you know, Christian, you can be Muslim, you can be atheist, you can be whatever. You jump out that plane without a without a parachute or any support, you dead. 10,000, 14,000, 20,000 feet in the air, right? Principles that are just facts. That's what it is. These five principles I'm talking about are going to operate and work well no matter what. And at every stage of your life, they work extremely well because they're tried, true, and it doesn't matter any of the other factors. All right. So if you institute them, that's when you're developing a quality routine that will allow you to be the best of yourself and have you be able to sit down one day and have somebody tell you must be nice, right? For what they think is an easy process to deliver on, which you can't, after a while, it does become a little easy just to get into your routine. It does. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's a fight to work on, especially when you're, again, evolving like I'm at this period of my life, evolving into international consistency and building the brand and business and sustaining that. But I'm getting into a place too of flow. We're getting into a place of comfort within it to where it's not so difficult to do the routine. It's just where I understand it to be and we get it done, you know? And that's what I want for you guys. All right. So appreciate your time on that. Again, I'm always open to hear your comments, your questions. Let's talk. Please try to check in when I have your live because I do lives. Trying to go live more where I'm in good Wi-Fi reception areas when I'm at cafes or a restaurant or at the gym, so you can see my real time practice what I preach. Even when I'm dating this young lady, we're going to try to go live, so you can see in real time, again, how this actually unfolds in real life, not just the setup prop, recorded, then post a few days later, curated content. So you can see, okay, we're getting a real argument right now. I disagree with her on this, and you seeing us how we go through it in real time. Do I blow up? Does she blow up? You know what I'm saying? Or if we didn't, why didn't we blow up? Did we recognize it wasn't that big a deal? Or did we have tools that we use that we're implementing to show you how we walk through it and talk through it, right? And don't even let it get that serious. How do I go through the workouts? What it's like living here in Bali and shopping and go shopping if you haven't been out here yet, in Indonesia, just to get a feel for how things are going and all that stuff, seeing what the villas look like. You see, like, I'm recessed into the ground. Pool is behind me. It's outside, but these windows and these doors retract all the way, so I can walk in if I want to the pool right here, watch TV if I want to. Same here to my right. But this is a one bedroom villa. So again, just trying to show you guys so you can see if you haven't had a chance to get out here yet. Here, meaning get out here in the world, not just here in Bali, because you have places in the Maldives, you have places in Panama and the Caribbean. You have places just like this in Colombia. You have places, off the coast of Brazil, down by Fornopolis down south, and even up north from Fortaleza over by Bahia. So and you have little islands, off the coast of Spain, Ibiza, and other islands too. So yeah, it's out here. If you haven't been out here, these places are here. I've been blessed to go to the places that I've named, right, and that I'm naming. Again, I'm just blessed, and I thank that power within me to give me the opportunity to, while I'm here, enjoy this life. And by no means have I done it being rich. I'm far from it at the present moment, tangibly. I've just been, I believe, wise and smart with how I've tried to do it and still take advantage of the time that I've been given here to say that I at least explored. I touch people in different cultures. They touch me. I've learned from them. They've learned from me, right? Because with that, I don't know who I may have inspired when I'm taking a 6 mile run throughout the neighborhood, every other 2 days in Bangkok or in Colombia or in Dubai or here in Bali. I don't know who might be inspired by watching me run and be, fit. Um, And I may not be inspiring nobody, just me smiling at someone. They may have a perception of a black man that they don't, because they don't really see us too often in different parts of Europe, or and I don't know. They might have a different opinion when they see me smile or they hear me talk, and I greet them with the prayer hands, or the hand over the heart, right? Or I see another brother, another sister, and I acknowledge them from a head nod from a distance, or the hand over the heart to let them know I see you, I acknowledge you. Don't know if you're, from Africa, from the continent, or if you are, Kenyan, from Nairobi, or if you're from Jersey, or from Denver or Atlanta. I don't know, but just acknowledgement, and so you feel like you have family no matter what, right? I've been blessed to be able to do these things, and this I don't take it for granted. And even though those may be seemingly benign moments, I know in my heart, I know in my energy that they are the biggest thing ever, because it was big for me when someone just said, "Hey, I travel outside the country when I was 31." I was like, "What does that mean?" Because I didn't know. I didn't travel outside the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I've been to Mexico, Cancun, but that was about it, right? Um, that was literally it at the time. Um, so someone just giving me that statement inspired me to, what is that? How do I get there? What do I do? And then fast forward 6 years later, 7 years later, I'm international, right? Again, and now over 13 years later, I'm international again permanently, right? So just the little benign things that we leave each other with, when purely delivered, with the intention of honesty and true love and just wanting someone's betterment. Um, it permeates the ether, and the karma, the reciprocal, my daughter doing well, my parents doing well, it's out there. I don't worry about my parents who are older, because I know I've tried, even though I have not been perfect. You talk to any woman out there that I've talked to, like, yeah, he ain't the best guy, right? Not to say I've been an asshole, not to say that. I have been early on in my life. I tried not to anymore, but relationships are relationships. So sometimes people just don't take it well, right? But I've been trying for the most part. I really have to just be a genuine person, even when I fuck up. I try to be a genuine person, but that's due to me trying to, again, daily connect, give gratitude, and connect with the higher power. And with that higher power, I find my peace. They forgive me. They, reprimand me, and they forgive me. Definitely reprimand me, and then they forgive me, and then we move on, and we move on better than we did. And I damn sure try not to repeat what I did if it was fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. That's where we're at. But you do this when you live this life fully, and you got these five principles in place, and they are your quality routine daily. All right. All right. Appreciate y'all, man. Got nothing but love for y'all. Seriously, thank you for being rocking me on the journey. Leave your comments. Leave your comments. Let's rap. Let's talk. If you have questions about, where I'm staying, how I'm doing it, again, let's get on the live. Let's talk in the lives. I'll leave them up recorded when they're. I'll leave the lives up recorded when I know the clarity is good. Because if it's not clear, I'm taking it down. All right, because I had that happen where I posted three of them and it just was not clear. I didn't know the reception was that bad until someone told me. So, but the lives, I'd rather you be on with me. We could talk and chat in real time. And then you could let me also too show you how I'm doing things in real time, where I won't be able to chat, but you'll see me and you'll be able to leave comments. I can come back to you and talk to you later about what happened in that moment or whatever it may be if I can't chat with you. All right. All right, guys. Appreciate you. Love you. Go out here and be great. Live well, live well. I'll talk to you, my friends.